In Activity C of our scrub curriculum, we're actually going to ask the students to plate bacteria from boots that they have cleaned properly following instructions, and then what might be a little bit more typical. Commonly, we see people that may not actually clean their boots properly, and there's a lot of cracks and crevices on boots that are typically used in animal facilities. Essentially, all that tread that helps keep us from slipping really can be a reservoir of pathogen in case we have disease outbreaks. So again, we're going to be plating our boots. We're going to plate a boot that is essentially a boot that we might think is acceptable to go into the house, but maybe isn't actually cleaned properly. We're going to plate a boot that has been just scrubbed with some soap. We're also going to plate a boot that has been just applied with disinfectant. So commonly, people will have sort of a false sense of security that just applying disinfectant alone will kill all the pathogens. However, if the organic material is still present, that's a rather ineffective technique. So just spraying a dirty boot with disinfectant is not going to kill your bacteria. And then finally, we'll have some students plate the boots after they've been cleaned properly and then following the manufacturer's guidelines on proper use of the disinfectant. So we'll first start with our boot that might be a typical boot that might come into the house. We're going to grab a sterile swab, and when we open the swab, we want to make sure that the students don't touch any part of the actual cotton swab. So we're going to hold it by the stem. Then we're going to take our swab and just roll it essentially back and forth across our boot surface, taking time to roll the swab as you go, essentially to coat it with the bacteria, the debris that might actually be on our boot. So a simple swab rolling back and forth across our boot surface. Then we're going to take our pre-prepared agar plate, and we want to grab it by essentially the bottom of the plate. So the top is a little bit bigger, and the bottom is where our media actually is. So when I swab the plate, I'm going to streak my cotton swab back and forth. And then I'm going to rotate my cotton swab essentially a 1/4 degree, and then rotate back again across my plate. Rotate my swab, rotate my plate. So I think of it as essentially swabbing all corners of my swab onto my agar plate. Then I'm going to place it upside down, and that is to ensure that any condensation that forms when I put this in the incubator drops onto the top of the lid and doesn't hinder any of our bacterial growth. I'll label my plate so I know which one it is. In this case, this would represent my dirty boot before I place it into my incubator. So our incubator is now up to temperature. We have all of our plates of our dirty boots, clean boots, disinfected on dirty boots, and then finally our completely cleaned and disinfectant boots. So we'll place those agar plates in our incubator. Make sure that the lid is on the bottom, so any condensation that may form on the plates actually drops down onto the lid and not onto our little colonies of bacteria that we're trying to grow. So once our plates are in our box, we'll seal our incubator back up, and then we'll check back to see what's grown in 24 to 48 hours. Again, if you do grow, and you should grow some bacteria, just in case anything could potentially be pathogenic, make sure that those plates are disposed of properly.